Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today I'm going to be discussing the topic of developing intuition for body awareness. So this particular video is going to be very helpful, so you might want to pay attention, especially if you're somebody who occasionally gets health problems. So let's jump right in. So philosophers typically break up our beingness into three parts: the body, the mind, and the spirit. So this video will talk about discovering information about all three, and yet in relation to the body. The one thing that we're born into and that we have to, I guess, live with until our departure into the next transition, our next turn. So we are obviously made up of one body, and yet when we talk about it, we can talk about different parts. So both are true. We have one body, yet we also have limbs, organs, bones, tendons, and all these other elements. But yet they belong to one body. And as one system, yet separate parts, one can affect the other, which is what typically happens when we get ill. So when we are, how do we actually use this information to develop our intuition? So the principle that they are separate is actually very helpful. So when you talk about, your eyes and your heart and various other things, you can use those concepts and as it relates to those parts when you're doing things like a body scan. So if you're not familiar with a body scan, feel free to look up mindfulness. But basically what it is directing your attention, your consciousness, to various parts of your body. And yet it goes beyond that with your intuition. Because in mindfulness, a lot of times what they're trying to do is just for you to direct your consciousness to certain areas, and a lot of times that can relieve anxiety. Yet we can use this in the same way, but to gather information, to gather intelligence. And how do we do that? Well, we have to start, just like any type of place in magic or psychic sensitivity or in spirit communication, we have to make certain assumptions by shifting our beliefs. So one helpful belief shift to take is to believe that all of these different parts of your body, and even your entire body, is a spirit. Think about this, that even when we're talking about the atoms of our body, that those atoms are made up of 99.99999% empty space. There is a more going on that is invisible and non-physical than the opposite. Our bodies are made of energy, and yet when we talk metaphysically, we talk about the chakras and we talk about meridians and things like that. So it's not a stretch that when spirits, which are non-physical, also are living, why not at least adopt the belief and treat your body and its parts as separate spirits? This is why this is important. Because if you think of each part of your body as having a separate consciousness, and yet each consciousness affects the other, then it gives you a vehicle to begin communication. Just like if you were to try to communicate with an angel or a demon or any other type of spirit. Except these spirits, if you like, are within us and within our physical body. So, and I'll give you an example, and I've done this before, is that I might take a few breaths, try to relax, and scan my body. Now, I may not know what exactly is wrong, and there might not be anything wrong. It might be just I have a little bit of tension somewhere. So it could be the case that I have a little bit of eye strain. And so what I would do is close my eyes and tune into that tension in my eyes. Now the mindfulness would just direct the attention and maybe something will happen. However, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be actually, once I tune into the tension, to start asking questions. Just like you would direct questions or comments to a particular spirit. Once you tune in the tension, okay, so say something like this: what do you have to say to me? I notice some tension. What is happening? Direct your inquiry to the feeling and into the part. And you'd be surprised that you would get something. You might hear something like, I've been working so hard, I'm really tired. And then it gives you some information to say, okay, have I been having too much screen time today? Have I been squinting? Have I been doing things that would warrant this type of comment? And if you can identify what's happening, then you can change that particular habit. But what you're also doing is you're setting the stage for something. You're setting the stage for you to develop a better relationship with your body through that intuition. It doesn't have to be the eyes. I've done this sort of thing, and my attention has been captured in the sense of I felt my awareness going to my kidneys. That's where and it felt like a little bit of inflammation. It felt a little bit like off. So at that point, I was thinking, okay, so what have I been doing? Yeah, I drank about 6 cups of coffee. That would probably do it. But there's nothing serious going on. But that's the type of thing where this is very good for prevention. Now, if you know what the issue is, if you have a diagnosis from a medical doctor, you can certainly bring your awareness to that organ or that area, communicate with it, and see if you can get information that might be helpful to your treatment. So those are two examples. Now, how is this? Why is this important? Is there another layer to this? And I would say, yeah. But before I get into that, let me say that the questioning, that's how you gather your information. You trust your intuition. Imagination, again, is our vehicle for these practices. The second thing you want to do, and this is an attitude, that's to treat your body as sacred. Assume that your body has wisdom and that it can communicate with you and that you can communicate with it. Your body, all these parts, have been with you since you were born. In a way, they've been spying on you and communicating with each other for however many years you've been around. They are working on an unconscious level, an unseen level, that you don't even have to consciously control most of the time. You don't have to think to your heart, please beat. Okay, I'm beating. You don't have to do that. It takes care of it for you. It has such an intelligence, and with that intelligence, you can assume that you can collect information. I actually have a friend and someone that I respect, another occult author, Taylor Elwood, who has a book, I believe it's called Inner Alchemy, where he actually communicates with the neurotransmitters in his brain, a lot of the endocrine system, and to try to work with it, to influence it, to improve mood, and all sorts of things. And he, like me, assumes that these have their own spirit through which you can communicate and which you can work with. You know, people have spirits. There are spirits in the spirit world, and this is just an assumption. So work on that. Try that belief on for size whenever you're working with your body and see what happens. I'd be curious to hear all the positive things that occur as a result of that. But anyway, again, treat your body as sacred. Listen for the messages. You can check in with your body a couple times a day if you feel like something is going on, if you are feel like you might be getting sick. It can also mean the difference between you waiting too long to go to the doctor if you have this information that is helpful. Another thing that I would be is a kind of a side effect of this is that if you are someone developing your psychic abilities and tuning into yourself and your body, there is not a big stretch between that and being able to tune into other people's bodies and honing your abilities in what we call medical intuition. The people that actually do the healing work and they help assist doctors and even private clients in trying to determine what could possibly be going on with their body. I firmly believe that our bodies are trying to work for our benefit. They are trying to help us. They do our parts, and even as a system as a whole, it does the best they can. And it is very easy to fall into the trap of, if you're feeling bad, or maybe if you have a chronic illness, to say things to yourself and other people in which your mind and your body can hear, saying that my body's betraying me, my body is falling apart, I'm getting old. All these types of things, all these negative messages can be felt and can be heard by, I believe, that these spirits. And you want to develop a good relationship with your body and with these parts, with these intelligences, with these spirits. They have kept I and you around for this long. They are keeping you at a reasonable level of health, or like I said, they works hard. So be thankful if you can. Be appreciative of your health and your body, and try communicating with it. Okay. I feel like I've been chattering way too long. So please like and subscribe. If you like this video, if you want to see some other ones, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put links at the bottom. And I will see you in a future video. And you have a good Labor Day. Okay?